I now have undeniable proof that there is much more to the Lindsey Graham situation than what we are being told, and no one else has this photo that just got sent to me. And it's much more than just the photo. I told you yesterday I didn't want to be that guy, but there's just so many things that don't add up with this official narrative of this illness, this, what, was it a heart problem they said? So I'll show you the picture in just 1 minute. But first, today, as of a few hours ago, they have 20 different FBI agents all outside of Lindsey Graham's house doing an investigation. Not just today, but also yesterday. So if it was just a health complication, what's up with the FBI? When does the FBI ever, especially investigate that deeply into a health issue, right? That does not make sense at all. They're looking because there's more to the story. Now, yesterday I mentioned how I found it extremely odd his birth date to his end date was like this certain number, then 11, like September 2011. You get it. Of course, that also being the bottomless pit, Deception, Apollyon, Apollo, Abaddon, the new archway being built in DC. And now Iran, shut up, made another video today showing Laura Loomer being the next target, the same person who cries wolf that there is some impending attack and doom for the United States from, you know, that one country we just mentioned. I'm not going to play the video because I don't want to label this video AI. But have you seen what's happening in Iran right now? The US is bombing the literal crap out of them right this minute, while of course this is all going on. Now back to the video. Is Iran really making these videos? Would they really try to take responsibility for the Lindsey Graham situation and then go into something much further than that? Completely unrelated, not relevant at all, just a fiction story. It sounds like a really good stage. Now, I'm not saying he did not pass away or he's still here. Who freaking knows? There's no way to prove really anything. You know, a lot of people pass away. There's people out there who say that people never pass away, and I think that's ridiculous. But check out this picture that got sent to me. Here's Lindsey Graham a few days ago flying on coach. First off, people like this very high up in the Senate, they obviously would be, you know, flying private or first class and being safe. But also notice the look on his face. But wait, there is more, much more. And shout out to GF Life, the guy who sent me this picture from his friend of him being on the plane. Get this part. So he randomly passes away after just talking to people in good health, completely fine, right? Well, you know, like one of his last ever statements he ever said was, "Before I die, I have to put sanctions on Russia." Who would randomly say that, y'all? So what do I think? I think that this story is gonna be subliminal, like on the back burner, like people are talking about it, but the news won't cover it. Then all of a sudden it's gonna come out that some country did something, and therefore now there's a giant conflict, like the first one and the second one in the 1900s.
Hello Patriots, I'm at Restored Republic via a GCR update for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, compiled by Judy Byington. What comes next? Control blackouts, martial law, mass arrests, a global currency reset, the era of cabal, debt ends. Nasara Jasara QFS on Telegram. Judy note, evidently as Commander-in-Chief President Trump has activated his wartime powers, deployed the U.S. military in a coalition of 300,000 troops worldwide to make mass arrests of treasonous, Satan-worshipping, pedophile global elites. Be prepared for worldwide emergency alerts, blackouts, and 10 days of communication darkness. The corruption was coming to an end. Trump promised on Monday, July 13th, 2026, martial law alerts on Telegram. You will see the global military alliance on the streets making arrests of corrupt pedophile, drug, and child sex traffickers. The old world will end with a broadcast. The new world will begin as you explain to those around you what has been going on. Over 10,000 U.S. Special Ops military forces have been in training for the rescue of children from the Illuminati's dumbs. Deep underground military bases, an extensive tunnel system that ran beneath every major U.S. city, as well as every major capital throughout the world. The underground tunnels were found to contain millions of tortured children, whose cities and human experiment laboratories that included organ and adrenochrome harvesting traumatized children's blood. Also, don't forget, Commander Thor and his Light-Being families have been in the deep, ancient tunnels underground, rescuing men, women, and children. The survivors are sent to the Light-Being ships for minds wiped, healing in medbeds, and then taken off-planet to Earth Eden 2.0 for living. The dead are also taken to Eden 2.0 for burial, where their souls are released to beyond the magnetic veil or to incarnate on another planet of God and light if they choose. Currently, various light-being groups are in all ancient tunnels worldwide where needed for rescues and annihilation of combined evil. We thank them for all they are doing for humanity. Trump went on to declare that Washington, D.C. was one of the headquarters of Satan, housing an underground world with hardcore high crimes including pedophilia. Cleaning out that underground world was the hardest job anyone couldn't even imagine. To all heroes, we the people owe you more than respect. We pray for you every day. To all monsters, your time is finished. According to former UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, a global blob of unelected elites drives the policies of Western governments from behind the scenes. From open borders to net zero, she has traced this framework back to organizations such as the World Economic Forum and the Club of Rome. Sometime in the next 2 days, a blackout and lockdown will become global in all countries of the world, according to the Iron Front on Telegram on Monday, July 13, 2026. As we edge closer to Friday the 24th and Saturday, July 25th, 2026, the Earth Alliance, in conjunction with Starlink and other military satellites, will unleash the emergency broadcast system. Every cell phone on Earth will be hit with a loud alert signal transmitted directly from Starlink, bypassing traditional media, which is controlled by the elites. The mainstream media will have no say, no control. The blackout and lockdown will last for 10 to 12 days, when everyone will be asked to stay at home during a specific 5-hour window. What comes next? Nasara Jasara QFS on Telegram. Controlled blackouts will roll across the globe. Not simultaneous, not random, timed, targeted, deliberate. Martial law layers will quiet the streets while the old system is silently dismantled. A global military operation. Every blackout, every silence, every disruption, planned to perfection. Mass arrests won't look like arrests. They will show up as sudden resignations, health issues, flight cancellations, and disappearing press events. A global currency reset will shift power from empty paper promises to real, asset-backed value. The era of cabal debt ends. Legacy ledgers will be cleared, zeroed, or fulfilled. The quantum financial system is online. Once the grid goes dark, QFS will override the entire fiat matrix. All corrupted accounts terminated. All clean assets biometrically secured. During the 10 days of darkness, no social media, no news broadcasts, no outside influence. Space Force will guide communication. National militaries will ensure peace. Curfews and movement restrictions will be temporary, but vital. Only one military-controlled channel will remain active. It will reveal everything. Confessions, tribunals, truth, crimes against humanity will be laid bare. The new quantum communication system will replace the surveillance internet. Untraceable IDs, no more spying, no more manipulation. You will witness the collapse of the deep state, the fall of fake governments, and the end of the illusion. This is the controlled demolition of a slave system and the rebirth of a sovereign civilization. Stay alert. Nothing is random. Do not panic. This is not the end of the world. This is the end of their world. You were never just a citizen. You were the storm. You are the signal, and the world will know. Trust the plan. What we thought we knew but didn't really know, and now are supposed to know but don't have a clue. With clones, doubles, made-up movies, Hollywood style, and Trump's military alliance throwing more popcorn at us, it gets so confusing. Monday, July 13th, breaking news. President Trump announces urgent address to the nation this Thursday at 9 p.m. Global tensions escalating, AMG News. Tuesday, July 14th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. Kevin and Annette join us on Bastille Day to restore corporate AI tyranny and global omnicide. And there's the YouTube link. Monday, July 13th, 2026, verified UN certified ballot from state elections in Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Mississippi, Nevada, and a number of other states prove that Trump won the 2020 election. That fact alone legally takes down the Biden administration, all of Congress, and any legislation that they passed. Monday, July 13th, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that there will be no central bank digital currency. Under President Trump, the announcement from Bessent's office was significant because the deep state cabal have been trying to set up a non-asset-backed digital currency in order to keep in control of the global financial system that they have ruled since 1913. The gold asset-backed global currency reset that was happening right now was taking away the cabal's money supply and thus their power over the people. Monday, July 13th, 2026, Jeffrey Epstein's butler was arrested in an FBI sting in 2009, where he attempted to sell the client and victim list. He told them the whole operation 17 years ago, and the FBI did nothing. Nasara Jasara QFS on Telegram. Monday, July 13th, 900 people went in witness protection. It states JFK Sr. is dead, but he's alive. The cabal found out that he was alive, so they scened his death for the second time. You can only break the cabal from the inside. They all knew what the cabal did to our innocent children in the world. John F. Kennedy Jr. on Telegram. Monday, July 13th, 2026, Trump's global military alliance. U.S. Marines and Special Operations have been training for flooding and taking down dumb tunnel systems worldwide since 1917. It ran under every major city across the globe. The tunnels have harbored a massive international child sex trafficking ring run by the Vatican that was centered in Palestine and Ukraine. Monday, July 13th, President Trump's major speech on Thursday, July 16th, 2026, will reveal intelligence reports on foreign interference in the 2020 election. X.com.
Do you remember what it was like when the 2020 election was rigged and stolen? Do you remember all the bullshit stories people told you about how the fraudulent election would be overturned? Do you remember the symbols of tyranny when fences went up around D.C. for Joe Biden's inauguration? Do you remember watching fuel and food prices skyrocket in a matter of months? Do you remember watching our borders being invaded by a virtual army of unidentified criminals? Do you remember watching our nation get systematically destroyed for 4 years by the Joe Biden Autopen administration? Do you remember longing for the days of winning when we had Donald Trump in the White House? Do you remember thinking he was going to die when the bullet aimed at his brain only grazed his ear? Do you remember rejoicing after witnessing the miracle that saved his life? Do you remember celebrating the epic landslide victory in November of 2024? This is what you hoped for. This is what you prayed for. This is what you voted for. So why are you questioning every decision he makes now that he's back in office? God didn't save his life so he could make mistakes. He knows what he's doing. Maybe it's time to shut the fuck up and let him cook. This has been a public service announcement paid for by the Dilly Meme team.
Possible timing. On Thursday, 18 June 2026, at 3:14 a.m. EST, Starlink satellites went fully operational across all 14 global sectors. The Israeli Mossad media satellites, which controlled 92% of Western information networks for 4 decades, lost their ability to manipulate every narrative, election, and market across the globe. Fry. 3 July 2026, GESARA NESARA protocols broadcast. All mortgages, credit cards, and student loans linked to usury were frozen for liquidation. SAT. 4 July 2026, quantum financial keys overrode the legacy mainframe of the Vatican Bank, and the assets of the corrupt were seized and redistributed to the Humanity Reclamation Fund. On Sun. 5 July at 06:13 a.m. EST, Operation Mass Arrest 705 began. 847 federal judges, 456 CIA officials, 234 senators, congressmen, and 678 FBI officials arrested. Global liquidity released. Moan. 267 July 2026, Trump. Global military alliance took control of Greenland and the Arctic. 7 July 2026, Operation Freedom Ankara 707, Green major arrests in organized crime crackdown. 24 arrests, members of international organized crime gang arrested, true. 11 arrests in California, India-based crime gangs. Real, federal indictments, multiple federal indictments filed. Real, deep state operatives, Pentagon sources confirm detainment of deep state operatives, total arrested operatives. 847 plus. Military sting operation heats up. On 7 July 2026, at exactly 14:10 EST, the communication lines connecting the Vatican Bank to the legacy SWIFT network were permanently severed by the Alliance Financial Task Force. A worldwide debt jubilee and RV of currencies to gold asset-backed activated. Law enforcement shifts to natural law protections under concepts of the original Constitution. The revaluation RV of 209 countries, currencies to be gold asset-backed, comes fully alive. Debt jubilee activation begins for those whose accounts have been cleared. At exactly 06:00 EST on 7 July 2026, the operational authority of the Federal Reserve System was permanently neutralized by an alliance-backed financial task force. The old banking cartels officially lost their primary encryption keys, and the operational timeline for the next 72 hours has been locked into the live network. At exactly 15:44 EST on 7 July 2026, a joint task force of Alliance white hats permanently overrode the primary server matrix of the old NORAD tracking grid. The legacy deep state operators officially lost their administrative clearance codes, and the entire orbital surveillance migrated onto the secure quantum Starlink system. On 8 July, the SWIFT routing hubs in Brussels and London are scheduled for an irreversible protocol disconnect. The central banks will likely report this as a major regional internet blackout or a transatlantic fiber optic breakdown. Reality is a hard quantum override. Any institution failing to meet the gold-backed ISO 20022 standard will have its liquidity clearance certificates revoked by midnight. In early morning EST Thursday, 9 July 2026, Trump's inner circle went completely dark. No leaks, no statements, no explanations. Meanwhile, the war room was fully operational with restricted files unlocked, classified transmissions active, and intelligence missions moving. Thursday, 9 July early morning, Trump's global military alliance took down the World Economic Forum, WEF, in Geneva, Switzerland, and their plans for a total enslavement of humanity, digital ID implementation, collapse of world domestic supply chains, and man-made diseases leading to global lockdowns. Klaus Schwab and over 400 high-ranking corporate executives and unelected globalist officials were arrested. Also on Thursday, 9 July 2026 at exactly 5:01 p.m. EST, the Quantum Financial System, QFS, bypassed the central banks as the final encryption keys of the old financial framework were permanently extracted, while the global currency reset was activated. At that same moment, Iran reclosed the Strait of Hormuz. On Thursday, 9 July 2026, the core databases managing private consumer liabilities systematically decoupled from public identities. The ledger files for millions of mortgages, auto loans, and high-interest credit lines engineered through fractional reserve fraud are transitioning to a zero-balance state. The corporate banks lost their administrative authority codes, leaving them legally unable to enforce foreclosures or collections. Global celebration protocols enabled. Local communities organize freedom assemblies to distribute the first wave of restoration funds. On Thursday, 9 July, an elite cyber command unit acting under global antitrust military warrants forced entry into the primary database complex of Aladdin. Aladdin is the multi-trillion-dollar AI asset algorithm owned by BlackRock that dictated the prices of your food, your fuel, and your rent. The centralized engine that was programmed to artificially buy up entire family neighborhoods, weaponize corporate boards, and manipulate the global cost of living has been permanently defanged from the global core. The encrypted logs coming out of the seized mainframe confirm that over 3.8 million private residential titles and agricultural deeds, systematically sucked into corporate shell accounts over the last decade, have been frozen by the alliance. The ownership vectors are being systematically detached from the corporate registry to be returned to the sovereign population. At the exact same time, the AI pricing engine that engineered artificial economic scarcity is completely locked out, meaning the matrix has officially lost its brain. On Friday, 10 July 2026, the distribution nodes for Tier 4B liquidity officially entered active status under the global enforcement of NESARA/GSARA. The sovereign assets and gold reserves reclaimed from the legacy trusts bypassed the commercial banking grid entirely, routing directly into the wealth pipelines of the sovereign citizens. 14 July 2026, the transition begins. Your bank account won't disappear, your money won't vanish, but the system that enslaved you will be dead. The Federal Reserve, IRS, and old financial order was finished.
Donald Trump has just made an announcement, and this is a very, very big week for the entire world. We have the World Cup on at the moment, the most televised event ever. And it's been a very successful one in America, Mexico, and Canada. Well, we're at the semi-finals now, and on the 19th of July is the World Cup final. The world will be watching. Well, Donald Trump's just made this announcement and said President Trump will be making a speech to the nation on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Thank you for the attention of this matter. Well, July the 16th is World Snake Day. And we're all about to find out about this dirty trafficking snake of a system and all the sellouts to the snake. You've seen this logo before, Don't Tread on Me. This is that system, wrapped around the entire world, the belly of the beast. Donald Trump read us that poem a number of times about the snake. And he went to Saudi Arabia back in 2017. He cut the head of the snake off. Now we're at the stage where it's the belly of the beast. It's everyday life, people within our life. So if we look at the other dates this week, on the 17th of July is World Day for International Justice. This specific date commemorates the adoption of the Rome Statute in 1998, which is the founding treaty of the International Criminal Court. The day aims to promote victims' rights, support the international justice system, and help prevent severe crimes. The day after that, the 18th of July, is International Listening Day, the day before the World Cup. A great opportunity to say, tune in tomorrow whilst the world is watching. And then you've got the next day, which is the World Cup final. And if you just think about attention, you've got a lot of all eyes on the same place, meaning a collective consciousness, meaning a collective shift. And the day after the World Cup final is International Chess Day. Checkmate. And if you fast forward a few more days to the 22nd, it's International Rat Catching Day. All the rats from this dirty snake. We're being shown a lot of corruption that's gone back years. We're bringing to a place now where people are awakening to all the confusion, all the deceit, all the fake news, all the division, all the gatekeepers. And at some point, we're going to understand what all of this war, the spiritual sense, the biblical sense, all comes back to. The godless sellouts, the communists, the Nazis, the Islamists, and all they've done is try to deceive the children of God. And it all comes back to the children. We are the children of God, the children of the darkness versus the children of the light. So we've got an interesting few days ahead of us, but this is such a big week just in terms of the world is watching.
D. Global currency reset. Moan. 13 July 2026. Debt clock emergency. America now pays more for debt than defense as the national debt surges past $39 trillion. Video. AM News. Com American Media Group. Moan. 13 July 2026. Boom. SEO TTB. Trump is waging economic war on British-controlled central banks. It's happening behind the missiles. Video. AM News. Com American Media Group. Sun. 12 July 2026. The QFSD CLASSIFIED. The $847 trillion reset. Why the globalist elite are panicking and why Trump's masterstroke is finally here. AM News. Com American Media Group. Thurs. 25 June 2026. Bruce. The Big Call Universe. IBIZ. Com 667-770-1866. The new rates change on the Forex Sun. Night and they come up moan morning, so we are expecting Montu's notification for Tier 4B. Us, the Internet Group. WED 15 July could start exchanges. There were an estimated 1.2 million ZIM holders. ZIM is to be used for humanitarian needs, with some for yourself. If you don't have a humanitarian project, you will be given a choice of some international ones to choose from. On 2s. 7 July at exactly 14:10 EST, the physical communication lines connecting the Vatican Bank to the legacy SWIFT network were permanently severed by the Alliance Financial Task Force. On 2s. 7 July at exactly 15:44 EST, a joint task force of Alliance White Hats permanently overrode the primary server matrix of the old NORAD tracking grid. The legacy deep state operators officially lost their administrative clearance codes, and the entire orbital surveillance migrated onto the secure quantum Starlink system. Also on 2s. 7 July 2026, at exactly 06:00 EST, the operational authority of the Federal Reserve System was permanently neutralized by an alliance-backed financial task force. The old banking cartels officially lost their primary encryption keys, and the operational timeline for the next 72 hours has been locked into the live network. Sometime in the next 2 days, a blackout and lockdown will become global in all countries of the world. The 17th letter on Telegram as we edge closer to Fry. 24 and Sat. 25 July 2026, the Earth Alliance in conjunction with Starlink and other military satellites will unleash the Emergency Broadcast System, EBS. Any day now, the cabal's central banks around the world were anticipating a fiat US dollar collapse. This was necessary for the introduction of the new gold asset-backed currency on the quantum financial system, QFS. WED 8 July 2026, Marxy. The bond people claim they are absolutely receiving 1% of their payout on Fry. 10 July 2026. A source said it is rolling out east to west, and Asia has already begun. WED 8 July Wolverine chat. Looks like things are moving 100%. Received news that things have officially started for the bonds. I hear that 4B should be released anytime this week. Judy note. No one knows the exact date for notification of appointments for Tier 4B, us, the Internet Group, to exchange foreign currencies, but deadlines shown in the above timing indicate it to be very soon. We have been told that Wells Fargo, which is controlled by the Chinese elders, the ones who own the gold behind the global currency reset, will send out emails to currency and bond holders worldwide telling them how to set redemption and exchange appointments. It is advised to redeem your foreign currency at an official redemption center, RC, rather than a bank. You can only redeem ZIM at a RC. The dinar contract rate can only be given at a RC, and banks will offer you lower exchange rates than what you can obtain at a RC. You can only set up your new wallet bank account at a RC. It was my understanding that most banks were under control of the cabal and would soon play a different role in the global financial
You see it starting with the reevaluation of silver. And now you see it starting to go. When silver goes to its full value, it will destroy the financial system of the world. Now, people say, well, when are they going to do this? When are the guys going to? They're not a massive, massive, massive force equal to the cabal's force. They're a guerrilla warfare group, essentially, doing worldwide guerrilla warfare. And they are winning because of the nature of the universe, the nature of our solar system and our galaxy. They are winning, and they can't be stopped now. And they've gained it out. They realized it too, but they're not going to give up. And so when you're up against superior forces, you have to pick your battles. You can't just go and do everything at once. You don't understand the art of war. If you're up against superior forces and you're on the attack, you've got to be careful on your timing and where and when you do what you do. And you most often use your opponent against themselves. You learn what they're going to do. A lot of good people had to get inside, like you were saying, inside the deep state and do really distasteful things. Like Trump said, I was an insider. You have to be to take it apart so you get the intel of what they're going to do. So they are stopping the massive killing, but you can't stop in a war all killing on your side. You're going to lose good people and you're going to lose. We're in an absolute war for humanity, not just humanity, the entire planet.
Re-inhabited Republic for the United States of America on Thursday. 5 March 2026, the cabal foreign banker-owned U.S. Inc. was dissolved, with common law sovereignty installed in the U.S. under concepts of the original Constitution. Admiralty law fraud was forever crushed. On July 4, 2026, President Donald J. Trump would make an announcement of this change to a sovereign republic, based on principles of the original Constitution, in a massive 4th of July celebration of the restored constitutional republic. The re-inhabited Republic for the United States of America is the actual de jure government that our founding fathers gave us, and which was abandoned in 1871 when a corporation took over Washington, D.C., and eventually every level of government in the country. About the Republic for the United States of America join President Trump, help him take down the corrupt corporation, and restore the Republic. How to save America Republic for you.
I will fight like no one has ever fought before.
Trump is the bodyguard of Western civilization.
You want to talk about a fighter, a walk through fire? He's an absolute savage.
He knows that this is much bigger than him. This is about the American people. They have no idea what they have unleashed. He was ready to go face the cameras and come out swinging.
What will future Americans say we did in our brief time here on Earth? It will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. Nothing will sway us, nothing will slow us, and no one will ever stop us. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright. And the future belongs to us.
Save the Children. Monday, July 13th, 2026. The price for entering the big club is the sacrifice of their firstborn male. For those that won't sacrifice, they can raise the male as a female. The trans child doesn't even know it is a form of sacrifice. Think about every single celebrity trans children and suspicious deaths to start connecting the dots. Mr. Poole on Telegram.
Second ritual. That was a nasty one. They held this at Rick Rubin's mansion in the Hollywood Hills. And apparently it was at this mansion that they were all told that between Johnny Depp and River Phoenix, only one of them was going to be the next big, Hollywood it boy. Okay. And this was after filming Sneakers. And it was at this party, apparently earlier on, there was like this prostitute that he had met, and she had OD'd, and he freaked out and they took away her body, and he was just freaking out, like wanted to call the police, wanted to leave. They wouldn't let him. And later on, they were told to complete the ritual. They, each one, whoever was participating, and it was at least River Phoenix and I believe Johnny Depp. And this is from a source from a very famous Hollywood actor who was there, but I cannot reveal who that person was.
Got it.
And the room that River went into, apparently it was the dead prostitute, but her body had been cut in half.
Oh my God.
Ooh. And he was told that he had to have sex with whatever was in the room that he went into, meaning he had to have sex with the bottom half. Apparently he broke down crying and like was saying he wanted to die. He didn't want any of this. Just kill him, kill him, kill him. Yeah, that's there's a photo of Salvador Dali.
I'll pull it up so people can see it.
Thank you. Yeah. And in this black and white photo, and you can tell it's like the same photographer who's shot a lot of his other Illuminati scenes, like at this one castle looking down, and they're all in robes surrounding like a giant table. Like that's looks like the same photographer's work. And in this scene photo, there's like a patient on a operating table, or like a bed there behind, and they're all bandaged up like the Invisible Man. And then it seems like there's like a loose piece of bandage over their eye. And then what Salvador Dali is holding, that's supposed to be one of these Vril beings. And he's holding on to the proboscis, but that's the ejected part after it's already shot out the worm thing to go into whoever that poor bastard's eye who's on that table. And then probably what's going to happen is it apparently takes time, like it might be up to like a 2-week period for that Vril parasite to totally take over the host body and then be able to get up around and walk around and talk and try to at least mimic whoever they just took over.
What we think we know as of Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. Monday, July 13th, Fox News. The DOJ has officially charged 8 people planning a mass casualty event at the White House UFC fight. Using explosive drones, then they plan to shoot people who fled. The legacy media is poisoning people's brains with their lies. Monday, July 13th, 2026, von der Leyen, convicted in the Pfizergate scandal, earns 429,600 euros a year. Lagarde, convicted for embezzlement of public funds, earned 726,000 euros a year. These are 2 women convicted for diverting public funds who are trying to impose the digital euro. Corruption on an unprecedented scale. That's the price for which they've sold out to Soros and globalism to destroy Europe and end our freedom. The Q awakening on Telegram. Monday, July 13th, Minnesota. Somali gangs in Minnesota committed murder and shootings on the 4th of July. 12 different Somali gangs have been identified committing violence all over Minnesota. The majority of it is gun violence. A Wilmer soccer coach was killed as part of Somali gang violence. There was 300 young Somali kids there. Some of them were gangsters. Investigators say Somali gang violence is growing fast. Spans the metro with 12 Somali gangs from Minneapolis and St. Paul to St. Cloud to Apple Valley and Burnsville. Ramsey County tracking the violence within the Somali community. The majority of it is gun violence. The 12 Somali gangs being tracked have already been linked to 14 homicides and over 100 shootings just in the last 2 years. MAGA Storm report on Telegram. Monday, July 13th, 2026. His real name is Milikowski, an Ashkenazi from Poland, but they call him Netanyahu. He was not born on the banks of the Jordan, but in the salons of New York's elite. He doesn't represent a people, he represents a machine, political, military, ideological, bent on creating continual wars and chaos to control the people. Nisara Jasara QFS on Telegram. Monday, July 13th, we have a link to amgnews.com, military command report, Trump hands media a death warrant. Reveal the leaker or go to jail for war crimes. Monday, July 13th, boom, the Obama files are worse than we thought. Explosive viral claims spark demands for answers on Tehran. Benghazi, Epstein, Hezbollah, and shadow government network. AMG News. Monday, July 13th, boom, Hollywood detonation. Mel Gibson prepares to present evidence to Congress targeting Newsom, Pelosi, Harris, amgnews.com. Monday, July 13th, declassified intel. The CIA classified a 1950s study showing anti-parasitics disrupt cancer growth. Kept it buried for over half a century. Must-see video, AMG News. Monday, July 13th, explosive report. Edward Snowden poised to detonate the deep state. Trump pardon deal could unleash historic reckoning against Comey, Clapper, and Brennan. Video, AMG News. And Monday, July 13th, breaking bombshell. Trump IRA plan could make millions rich. $1,000 federal match and no congressional approval. Video, AMG News.
Good morning. It's Tuesday. It's the 14th of July, halfway through the month. Things are happening. Things are happening everywhere. Well, let's start with the United Kingdom. The Rotherham rape gangs that we've heard so much about from Tommy Robinson and from many others. It's very, very interesting that 12 senior police officers have been arrested for being involved. And when I say being involved, I don't just mean covering up. They've been involved in raping women, young women. It's not just the Pakistanis. Although they may be some of the police officers, they may well be, I don't know. But there's 12 police officers in Rotherham who've been arrested for being involved in the rape gangs. And it gets worse. There's 26 members of parliament. Also, not covering up, which they are, but involved in the rape gangs. This gets serious. Now I understand why, when I was given the information on 350 British members of parliament serving involved in paedophilia and human trafficking and child trafficking, now I understand why I was not allowed to go public 5 years ago with that information. The public wasn't ready for it. But maybe you're ready for 26 members of parliament being exposed at this stage. And you go, yeah, because they were bad. This is how it works. This is how it works. You drip it out so that the public can digest it. Not like the Epstein files where you've got 6 million pages. You haven't got a chance of reading all of those. And thank God for AI that you can actually find the stuff you want to, because when you get 6 million pages, it's crazy. So if you've got 350 British MPs, where do you start? You start with the ones you don't like. But that's going on. It's all in plain sight now. It's all coming out. My second story is one that just makes me smile, because what the mainstream media and even Donald Trump is saying about Iran and Israel and the Middle East is about 180 degrees opposite to what's really happening. In the last 48 hours, Iran has taken out 16 US military bases, not just hit them, destroyed them completely so they can never be used again. This is where I understand five-dimensional chess, because Donald Trump, when he's speaking about this, it's the United States, the corporation viewpoint. That's all these military bases need to be destroyed because they're not used for what you think they are. They're not used to defend America. They're used for human trafficking. They're used for child trafficking. Donald Trump doesn't want to be a part of that. Never has done. But to dismantle it, he's had to go inside and pretend to be part of them. And there's a lot of commentators who don't get it. That's fine. You have to be spiritually connected to a higher power, to God, to understand, to comprehend what's going on. If you're not, you'll think it's all woo-woo. If you are, you can see right through it. My next story is all about sudden death. We've all heard of sudden death. Now we're getting people from sudden death. We got a Dutch referee at 38 years old he was a child. He was involved with child trafficking and paedophilia, and he was dropped from this year's World Cup, even though he was called for it. But he suddenly died, sudden death. Then you've got Lindsey Graham, very healthy one day, sudden death. Oh, and why didn't he leave from Ukraine? I don't know. I'm asking. Why did he never leave Ukraine alive? And then suddenly the mainstream media and Israel pump out that Iran killed him. Iran did it. What, Iran did it in Ukraine? Really? You think we were born at night? Well, I was. I was born on June the 8th, 1960, in the middle of the night. But it wasn't last night. It's time to wake up. They lie to you consistently. But the trouble is, it's the same playbook. It was the same with Anne Widdecombe when she died, when she was beaten to death. We've caught the man. You don't need to look any further. We've heard that for 20 years. The minute they say that, we know they're lying. And that's when the good people come together and start working to work out what the lies are. And there are so many of them. There's constant lies from the government, from the police force, from the controlling powers, from big pharma, big tech. They can't stop lying. And as a child, you know what it's like when you can get away with something. You get away with more, you get away with more, you try something else. And they've been doing it for years. My final story is about the British police, who are now being exposed. Most people know that secretly they moved away from being public service to being a private company. It's registered in Companies House. They're there to make profit, and they will do anything they can to fine you. I've noticed in Spain, we've now got, instead of speed cameras as well, we've got loads of speed cameras. We've now got seatbelt cameras, mobile phone cameras. All of these, if they catch you, they fine you. In Spain, we've got helicopters to watch you on the roads. There's no physical way, and I know a lot about aviation, no physical way that you can cover the cost of a helicopter floating in the sky, taking number plates on speeding cars to cover the cost of that. This just shows you how corrupt the system is. To make money, they'll take out of one pocket, they'll rob Peter to pay Paul. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and I said to them, just tell me one thing. If you could print money as much as you wanted, do you think you'd ever go bankrupt? He went, no, of course not. Just keep printing. So tell me why the governments all around the world can print money and have still gone bankrupt. That's what happens when you let idiots control the world. It's our fault for letting them get in there. But look what they've done. They can print as much money as they want in the EU, in America, in the UK, and they've still gone bankrupt. That's what happens when you let idiots take the wheel. I'll leave you with that thought. That was the news on the 14th of July, 2026. Have a wonderful day. Don't live in fear. Don't live in panic. We've got everything under control. We'll see you tomorrow.
Election fraud. Nassar Jassar QFS on Telegram, Monday, July 13th, 2026. We are going to find out President Trump won many of the states he lost in 2020. Ballots that by nature are demonstrably uncertifiable are deducted from the state election totals in 1. Georgia, 2. Arizona, 3. Pennsylvania, 4. Wisconsin, 5. Michigan, 6. Nevada, and a number of other states. We'll see that Trump won those states. The only reason a massive bluff was placed on the country for 6+ years, that included the 4 years Biden was in the White House, was because a coordinated hidden shadow election network across several states engaged in criminal conspiracy together to pretend they had legally certified millions of ballots that were in an uncertifiable condition per both state and federal election laws. This is going to get people jailed. The whole American electoral system, cross the fruited plain, is going to be scrapped. So great American election reset happens to make sure no one can ever do this kind of criminal fraud on the voting public ever again.
I saw that President Trump is going to address the nation on Thursday, and I understand one of the things he's going to do is declare that the two senators from Georgia are illegitimate because they were not legitimately elected. If you recall, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, and Kash Patel and the FBI were involved in seizing the ballots that, especially in Fulton County, which is where Atlanta is, were under serious question. In 2020, when I was protesting the election in Washington, D.C., one of the reasons I was there was specifically because of Georgia's elections. I remember watching as they shut down the polling places because of a water main break that was later proven to be false. There's security camera footage of poll workers after they had expelled people who would have questioned it, pulling suitcases full of ballots out from under tables and running them through the voting tabulators. There was a guy during a hearing that the Georgia legislature later had. I was watching it live, and the guy was a cybersecurity expert, and he was checking the security of the voting machines and was able to hack in with no preparation, just in real time while in the hearing, to the supposedly secured election machines. So Georgia has a massive problem with election integrity. It was obvious to me in 2020, and they fought every step of the way. If they had honesty in their elections, why did they fight the release of the ballots? What's wrong with letting them out in the light of day and just having them to be counted? Why can't we all just see them? But they fought and fought and fought, and the FBI and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence had to forcibly get those records. And now, if this report is true, we're going to find out that these two senators are actually not legitimately elected, which calls into huge question everything else about our elections. It's very disturbing. It's not a surprise to me, though. Like, anybody who pays attention to election security should not find this surprising. It's the Declaration of Independence says the legitimacy of government rests on consent of the governed. If our elected officials are not truly elected, then our government has been overthrown. That is sedition, it is seditious conspiracy, and it is treason.
Monday, July 13th, American preacher uses common sense to explain how far off track America has become. MAGA Intel Hub on Telegram. If you can get arrested for hunting and fishing without a license, but you can enter this country and remain in this country illegally, you got a country run by idiots. If you have to get your parents' permission to go on a field trip and get an aspirin at school, but you don't have to get their permission to get an abortion, you got a country run by idiots. If you must show identification to board an airplane and cash a check and check out a library book, but you don't have to show identification to vote in our elections, you got a nation run by a bunch of idiots. If the government wants to take our guns away and then turns around and sends F-16 fighter jets to our enemy countries, take our guns away and give ammunition to our enemy countries, you have a country run by idiots. If your government believes the best way to eradicate trillions of dollars in debt is to spend more trillions of dollars in debt, you've got a country run by idiots.
I just want to remind you that I was right the entire time. I was never wrong. It was never misinformation. It was never disinformation. You were lied to. You believed it. I was right. And everybody who was saying what I was saying, they were right as well. And you were wrong, and you can fucking suck it.
And he continued to push a conspiracy theory that has already been debunked by our intelligence community. This whole notion that the coronavirus was developed in a Chinese lab, that has been debunked.
Is that I don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
Right? I certainly don't trust reporters because reporters treated this initially as if it was nothing more than a crazy, unhinged conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So who do you trust, right? You can't trust the legacy media outlets because that was their narrative.
I got a message for the left. It's time for you to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. You've been wrong every fucking time. Every time a lie is told, you believe it. Why? Because you're sick fucking evil people. You want to believe the worst about people. Russia, Russia, Russia. All lies. All of it. Everything that you heard was a fucking lie, and you believed it. Hook, line, and sinker. In fact, you're still saying that shit today. Everything about COVID, Lies. And you believed it all. Every single lie. You wanted to believe it because it gave you authority over people who didn't, said, no, that's a lie. We're tired of it. Like I said, it's time for you people who can't be right about anything to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up.
You're watching The Kramer Says.